Hello and welcome to NerdVsWorld. This is a special Sci Fi Weekender special. I'm Brendan.
I'm Spindles.
I'm Adi.
I'm Emma.
And I'm Megan.
And I'm Sophie. Let me join in.
Yeah. Thank you very much for taking the time to do it for the Sophie. It's very good of you.
That's fine. I've just finished my porridge, so it seemed like the only natural thing to do.
Absolutely. So we've got a couple of questions. I think each was about Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Primarily, because I think for me, that era of Doctor Who was where I first got into it. So.
Oh, that doesn't make me feel old at all.
It was. Well, I'm very much the same with Brendan. That was both of our.
I'm a little bit older, so it was.
You're not. I'm older than you, Simon.
But I started watching it earlier. I think I was Peter Davis in the era, so
right.
That's where I started.
But your first episode was Dragonfire. And when you were approached for that episode, did you realise you were becoming the companion by the end of it?
Well, I was approached for actually not for that episode. They were actually cross-casting that whole season because John Nathan Turner, the producer, realised that Bonnie might be leaving in the next series. So he was looking for somebody potentially to take over as the companion. And if you look, there are some strong young female characters in all of those episodes. So in Paradise Towers you've got the Kangs, I think Red Kang, yeah, and then in Delta and the Bannermen you've got Ray, and then of course in Dragonfire you've got Ace. So when I went up for it initially, it was for a character called Ray, and but the script that I was given to read was Ace's character, Ace's speech from Dragonfire, about when she looks up through the gaps in the clouds and wonder who her mum really was, or whatever it is. Yeah. And but it had Ace scrubbed out and Ray written on it. So as far as I knew, they were looking for somebody who looked younger than they really were, who had a bit of experience and who could ride a motorbike, and I could ride a motorbike, so that was lucky. Yeah. So my agent sent in my photo, and on the back she wrote, "Has own leathers," and I'm convinced that that's what got me the part.
I like that.
You'll have to ask Sylvester later about his hat and how that got him the part, but for me it was definitely my leathers got me the part. Anyway, so I'd never even been in a TV studio before. I'd never done any telly. So as far as I knew, I was up for this part of Ray for 3 episodes. And then I got a recall and went to meet John Nathan Turner. And I was literally in his office for 10 minutes. So I thought, oh, well, there's no way I've got that. And then, to my great surprise, found out that I had. But it wasn't until, oh that's right, yeah, and my agent said to me then, they're thinking that they might use you as the new Doctor Who assistant if Bonnie Langford leaves. And so, I mean, can you imagine, you know, I'd never even been in front of a TV camera and suddenly I'm being given this amazing opportunity. So
did you watch the show before?
Oh yeah, of course, we all did, didn't we? I mean, you know, it was
so.
It wasn't like it is now. No. I have to say, it was slightly a bit of a joke. So when my friends found out that I was living in an almost a squat in Lewisham at the time I got the part, and my friends who were living with me, actually they were all Cambridge graduates, funnily enough, but they all thought it was very funny. And they said, "Oh, Doctor Who, that's so funny," you know. So everybody it was still around, it was still known, of course, but it wasn't like it is now, you know, and cool. So yeah, when I started rehearsals, I kind of knew in the back of my mind. Nobody else knew. I was sort of sworn to secrecy because Bonnie hadn't made her decision by then. And then gradually, throughout the course of the rehearsals and at the first day of recording, Bonnie and John had this mutual decision that she was going to leave. And it was quite funny because Tony Selby, who played Glitz in Dragonfire, we all got on really well. We had such a laugh, and he kept saying, he said, "Oh, don't you think Ace would be a brilliant companion? Sophie, you'd be just such a great Doctor Who assistant. Don't you think, everybody? Don't you?" So of course, when it actually came to them offering me the assistant, he said, "Here you are, you see." He just thought it was his idea. Yeah. So we went along with that.
Cool. Now, I mean, you had a kind of, later on, a longer running plot line, which was kind of all the stuff where Ace was dealing with stuff from her past and so forth, and that looked like it was progressing towards setting Ace being up to become a Time Lord. What did you think of that as a plot line? How did you think that was going to progress?
Oh, I loved that idea. I thought that was brilliant. I liked, for example, the fact that after Dragonfire, everybody blew herself up in a time storm, well, that's likely. And then, of course, in Curse of Fenric, then you find out why, and the whole thing about Fenric and the manipulation of Ace and everything like that. So it would have been, it gave a great reason for Sylvester's Doctor to be teaching her. I mean, he decided quite early on, Sylvester, that he was going to be a doctor who was a mentor. So he said, how about we have it so that the Doctor is taking Ace around the universe and showing her deepest fears and teaching her about the universe and all this. And everyone went, wow, yeah, that's a great idea. And he went, because it actually was a very cunning plan, because it got him out of saying all the gobbledygook. So instead of saying, Ace, this is a blah, 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 he'd say, yeah, exactly. He'd say, Ace, what's this? And I'd have to say, oh, is it a da 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 da? So it was just a cunning ploy, really. But I loved the whole idea. I loved the idea. I mean, that Ace, for example, had a backstory and a front story and a everything story, So yeah, it would have been great fun to do that.
Yeah, because she's very, very different to all the companions that came before her. Well, I mean, there were a couple of stronger characters. I mean, was that something you wanted Ace to be from the outset? Could you see yourself being like any of the other companions?
Well, I was a bit confused, I must say, when I first got the part, because I remembered Doctor Who assistants as these sort of rather hopeless, screaming females who wore high heels in quarries. I mean, what's that all about? So that was one of the first things I decided. I was going to wear Doc Martens, because then you won't twist your ankle. Although, in Remembrance of the Daleks, hey, guess what? Ace twists her ankle, And also, another thing they used to do was hold hands when they were running. And I was a bit guilty of that at times. But, bad idea if you're running away from a monster to hold hands with somebody. It just slows you down. So, I thought, well, that's weird, because why am I being cast as one of these women who screams and wears high heels? Because, I mean, I was definitely a tomboy who played a lot of football. And when I was about 7 or 8, my parents bought me a dress, forced me into a dress for the first time to go out somewhere. And I was extremely naughty, and I went into the bathroom and they were waiting to go, I could hear the car going, and I got the nail scissors out of the bathroom cabinet and I cut a big hole in my dress so I didn't have to wear it. I mean, that's the kind of, how much I hated being a girly girl. So,
Ace ever finds a problem, she just blows it up.
Exactly.
Much better way.
Yes. Or hits it with a baseball bat.
We'll be getting the wrap up soon.
Oh, okay.
We're going to have to cut this one.
Oh, we've only just got settled in.
I know.
Just quickly before you go, could you do some of your voices?
Oh, yeah, okay. So let's think. Well, there's Treefoo Tom, of course.
Yes.
So he would be here. He'd be going, come on, everybody, join in. Let's do some Treefoo. Put your hands in the air, pick up a can of Nitro 9, and throw it at a Dalek. Treefoo, go!
That is awesome.
They should put that in Doctor Who.
Yeah, I've never done a Doctor Who Treefoo Tom mashup before. Quite a good idea.
There we go, an exclusive.
Oh, and then I
do Flopsy and Mopsy for Peter Rabbit as well on BBC. And actually Flopsy's quite tough like that. And Flopsy's sort of the The one who's always complaining about everything. And Mopsy's a little bit, yes, okay. But they're twins, so they sound a bit similar, thank goodness.
And then Mrs. Rabbit sounds remarkably like this. Because that's me, really.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Thanks.
Hello and welcome to the second part of our Sci Fi Weekender special podcast. My name's Brendan.
I'm Spindles.
I'm Amy.
I'm Emma.
And Megan?
And I'm Sylvester McCoy.
Welcome to the podcast, sir. Thank you for taking time to talk to us. It's the end of a very, very long day for you, so
No problem. My
Really
pleasure.
appreciate it. How have you found the day? Has it been very hectic compared to normal cons?
No, not really. I mean, it's just my normal cons are very hectic.
okay, so it's all pretty much of a muchness.
It's been great, really. It's quite an interesting and fascinating place to do it.
It is kind of locked away in the wilds of Wales.
Yeah, the wild west of Wales.
Did you come over the frozen wastes to get here?
Beyond Mordor.
Yes. Yeah, no, I got some rabbits and they pulled me along.
Very nice.
We nearly hit a few on the way over here.
We did, yeah. I think
They're
it's
my
still
friends.
Around, yeah.
I nearly caught a couple.
They're
So,
hanging around to take me home tomorrow.
so yeah, if you're missing a couple in the morning, that's probably my fault, so I'll apologise. So just in terms of your appearances on Doctor Who, your Doctor, we were talking to Sophie about earlier, he was a much darker character and he was much more of a mentor to Ace than any other Doctors had really been to their companions. Was that were you involved in the kind of scripting of that, or?
Yes, I wasn't actually involved in the scripting, but in the direction of it, kind of requesting that the Doctor became much more mysterious and, I wanted the audience to become uncertain about him again. I wanted to bring all that mystery back that the first Doctor had, and I thought, from my little research, the other Doctors had lost over the years. Too much had been told about them. And so that was the idea, and I also wanted my companion to be, much more equal, kind of female companion. Because I was a strong feminist and think that should be brought on. So that was it was my. But Andrew Cartmel and I kind of thought the same thing in a way. It was quite interesting. It was great because he was the he was the script editor, and I go to him and say, I think this, and he said, God, I think the same, and we must, and we did do it, make it change. I also, out of total ignorance, because I hadn't seen Doctor Who for years, because there was no means of recording in those days, and I was working all the time as an actor, and I lost touch with it, and so I came at it from ignorance, and I had no idea that I dramatically changed it. But it wasn't until the 50th anniversary that what's his name? The producer, the present producer, Stephen Moffat said to me, he took me aside and said, my son is a huge fan of yours, which is lovely. And then he said, you changed it. You changed it from what it was into a totally new thing. At the time I thought people were not that big a fan of it all. But then I learned later that now they are, he said all the other Doctors have come out of that change, whatever gear change I'd given to it. And my gear change was just total ignorance because I didn't know there was any other gear.
You mentioned about the 50th anniversary there, and of course you did the absolutely fabulous the Five-ish Doctors reboot.
Yes.
How did that kind of come about?
Well, I mean, over the years, just building up to the 50th anniversary, all of us going around the world, the Doctors, especially Peter, Colin, Paul, myself, were always being asked, are you going to be in the 50th anniversary? And we all thought we were, because it just seems odd that we wouldn't be, really. But then when the 50th year arrived, we suddenly realised we were not going to be in it. So Peter said, let's make a film, let's do our own, let's try and break in. We'll do a film about breaking in and trying to get into the 50th anniversary. And that's what we did, and it was Peter, Davison's brilliant idea, and he wrote it, directed it, produced it, and he and his daughter Georgia, and it was just wonderful. It was a privilege to be in it, really. It was so good. I mean, and don't normally, it was just Peter's thing. He did such a wonderful job. Such lovely humour.
Yes, it was.
And of course, we had a cast list to die for.
It was outstanding. I mean, to get Peter Jackson in there as well.
And Ian McKellen.
Brilliant.
How many people have said to me since, "Oh, would you do another one?" And I said, "Well, yeah, if you can send me 20 million, we'll get Ian McKellen for that." Because everyone did it for nothing. We didn't get a penny. It was just done for, just for the laugh, for the fun, for the crack, and for the fans. That's the reason why it was done.
And to stick it to them for not putting you in
there. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
I mean, technically speaking, you are one of the longest serving doctors because there was the time break in between the TV show finishing and the movie being filmed. Did you think you would have quite as much of a part in the film as you did?
Oh, that film.
Just that little one.
Well, yeah, that technical side, we'll go back to that really. I always thought it on. I thought, well, I did 3 years of the Doctor Who on the telly, and they were all 15 episodes a year. So, in fact, my lifetime actually being the Doctor on television was very small. It's very young.
It was a technical passage of real time.
Yes, I know that's weird. But then I suddenly thought, wait a minute, I never stopped playing the Doctor because after it came off the air, we started doing pirated versions of Doctor Who ourselves, and just carried on doing it. Sophie and I being the Doctor and Ace under different names, and then Big Finish kind of grew out of that, and then we came back into being the Doctor. So I've never stopped. So maybe, I've been the longest serving Doctor in those terms. When it came to the film, I remember thinking I was going to do Regeneration no matter what, because Colin hadn't done the Regeneration with me, and I thought, I'll do it, definitely, what happened. And so I thought maybe they might do the Regeneration with me under the opening titles or something. And then they sent me a script, and it was quite a long bit, and I thought, oh yeah, I'll do that. So I signed a contract, and then they sent me another script, and they cut it down. Bastards.
That's fine, you can say
blackguards is what I'm saying, blackguards.
Damn fools.
Damn fools. Anyway. But no, it's alright, it was quite fun, it was good, it was interesting, it was, adventurous really. It was outside the BBC and it was in America, Canada, and, it was good.
Yeah, it was a very different take on Doctor Who that I don't think quite achieved what they wanted, because they really wanted to kind of pull in the American market. And I don't think it kind of achieved that for them, because I think it kind of lost the quintessential Britishness that is Doctor Who.
Yes, I mean the American market before was a kind of a cult underground of small public broadcasting stations dotted across the states, and it wasn't ever a big nationwide, kind of viewing audience. It wasn't that. But it didn't do well with women. That was why they didn't carry on with it, which is odd, because
Mr.
Paul McGann,
yeah.
that's what, it was really odd that or it didn't attract them anyway. But maybe if it had been a bit longer or more repeated it, but this America. Yeah, Andrew Cartmel said something. He said he thought that because it was too Americanized, then that they would want the British thing. But anyway. It was a shame, but it did incredibly well over here. It was very popular.
Yeah, very much so. Now, you were talking there about the Big Finish audios. Are there any storylines that you feel that you've yet to tell there, that you really want to tell?
No, I seem to have done quite a lot, really.
So how many of those have you done now?
50, 60 or so, something, quite a lot. I was in at the beginning, and well, we all were really as well. But I mean, we were in before, as I say, the pirated versions. I was very pleased in a way to fill in the gap that builds up to the Canadian film, the American film thing. You know, that I quite like the solitude. Some of the stories where the Doctor's by himself. I quite enjoy those. I like doing the Big Finish audios because the audio helps you get inside the Doctor's head. Whereas on television you have to express, you know, you've got to see visual.
You have to frame it.
And it's got to be visual and external. Whereas on the audio it's internal. I enjoy that.
So they referenced quite a few of the Big Finish productions in the 50th, didn't they? Which kind of...
Yeah, I think they referenced some of the companions that have existed only in the Big Finish audio. So I think there was a big thing that it's like, oh, they've made all the Big Finish stuff canon now, so that's all part of the proper story. So I don't know whether they have or not officially made it part of the big story.
I don't know really. I have no idea. I think they have. I think they've accepted it now as being, you know, it's accepted as a BBC thing.
Yeah. Just in terms of attending conventions like this, you have the most kind of unique presence in a Q&A that I think I've ever seen. The way that you approach these kind of Q&A sessions, I think, is brilliant. Is that something that you just decided from the off you wanted to do, just get in amongst the crowd and speak to them?
Well, in a way, yes. I don't know. Yes, I think it was earlier I'd said someone else, but I got the job of Doctor Who on a Monday, and on a Thursday they flew me to Atlanta, Georgia for a convention. I had no idea what a convention was. My only knowledge of convention was Lorne and Hardy's Sons of the Desert, where they wore fezzes, and bizarrely the circle has come round because now everyone's wearing fezzes. It's now turned into Sons of the Desert. But so I remember there I because of what I'd done in the Ken Campbell Roadshow and the very physical and kind of also very much in the audience, using the audience, tickling the audience, being around, you know, kind of discombobulating the audience, taking them out of the theatre and exploding a bomb in my chest and bringing them back and blowing fire, you know, all that. Because of all that, when I started at that first convention, I actually pretended to fall off the stage, and then I got someone to try and help me back up onto the stage, and in the way of doing that, they ended up on the stage and I ended up down there. You know, it was one of those kind of things. And that's when John Nathan Turner said to me, "You've taken to this like a duck to water," this kind of thing. And then I started to get these same questions, and I thought, this is like stand-up comedy, where you have to stand up and tell the same gags every night and twice on Saturdays. And that became exciting to try and make that fresh every time. I also watched Oprah Winfrey in her early shows, where she would go out into the audience and chat to them. And I thought, oh, that's a good idea. I think I'll do that. Because I really do. And in America, it's much more extreme, because there, you know, the stars are so protected against the fans, they're kept away from them. And we British guys, we would get up and walk around, you know, go to the dealer's room or wander around, and they'd freak out, the Americans. You know, go, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, it's you. And, you know, they follow you around, and they just couldn't believe, because with American, you know, Star Trek guys and all those, they would have bodyguards, they would not go near the audience, they wouldn't touch them, whereas we Brits are more, you know, easier with that. So that was joyful to bring that into the Q&A by going down in amongst them, and they were, oh, and you could see the excitement, and you thought, this is great, all I've done is just come down, and they're having a ball, and it's, you know, it made me very happy to make them happy. You know, and so that's why I just keep doing it, really, while I've got the energy.
There's quite a few people now that are disguising themselves in cosplay outfits and going down onto the floor.
But you've heard that now, so the big American stars now, they're basically dressing up in like Spider-Man costumes, so it's covering their face, and then they're going out into the conventions.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's now become a thing in America. I think it was Elijah Wood did it, and Daniel Radcliffe did it.
All right, yeah.
So that's their way of getting out onto the convention floor, is to wear something that involves a mask.
Yes, that's a good idea. I remember thinking, I was thinking that Madonna, I thought she should get a burqa, and then she'd be able to wander around, you know, London. You know, if you just dress up in a lady in a burqa, you could just go anywhere, really. You could be so famous. Absolutely. Maybe the Queen does that. She goes shopping.
I'm sure
in Lidl, she goes to Lidl, her local Lidl, you know.
I thought I saw her in Waitrose, but no, obviously she's slumming it.
Yeah.
You know, the Queen does come from Slough and all, doesn't she?
Yes. Yes.
You guys got any more? Someone asked about the 5 films.
Yeah, of course.
So on NerdVsWorld, we're compiling a list of films everyone must see before they die. It's not the greatest films, but just 5 films that you think have made an impact on you and you think other people need to see.
The Lady Killers?
Oh, classic.
Superb.
Sajat Rai's The World of Apu. He's an Indian director. It was his first film. He's one of the great, world directors. He's no longer with us. Kurosawa. Oh,
which one?
yeah. Well, I'm going to go for Ran, King Lear. I love that. I mean, I would go for all of them, really.
I said Throne of Blood is my personal one. I love that film.
And I didn't know that some samurai had inspired
Was it the Dirty
Blake Seven.
Did it really?
Yeah,
No, I didn't.
7.
Yeah.
Blake 7.
Yeah, of course.
And it was inspired by Kurosawa. What else now? That's how many have I given
That's
you?
3. So 2 more.
Singing in the Rain.
Wonderful.
Because I remember seeing that, and I come from Dunoon, which is a very rainy place, and I came out afterwards and I danced in the puddles and sang and danced and thought I was free to do this, because I was always being told, "Don't stay out the puddles, stop jumping into puddles." And there was I, singing and dancing in the rain. I met Gene Kelly. He came to the Roundhouse once when I was working in the box office. This little man, he was a square little man with the most amazing smile. And then when I was touring with King Lear, his wife, his widow, came and invited us all to his house for a party. So it's another reason. So how many have I got?
Last
4.
one, sir.
One more. Somewhere over the rainbow, far, far away.
Wizard of Oz, yeah.
Yeah.
Very good choice.
Yeah.
Classic. Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you very much, sir. I realise it's very, very late, so thank you for taking the time.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for being a guest on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
And thanks everyone for listening. Until next time, I've been Brendan.
I've been Spindles.
I've been 80.
I've been Emma.
I've been Megan.
And I've been Sylvester McCoy and still am.
Take care and be excellent to each other, people.